and you are. We are citizen Outbreak. Welcome to the podcast.
We got a lot of topics, Matthew. Are you ready to jump into them?
Yeah, of course.
All right. It's a big day today in New York City. I know we talk about a lot in New York, but that's where we are based out of. And the UN is going on right now. And as you know, when there's UN, there's a lot of traffic going on. But President Donald Trump gave a long speech today at the UN. And did you listen to the whole speech?
Most of it, yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
You know, I think, well, there were a few things, right? The escalator, the teleprompter. You know, did you see the other thing, like on the escalator and the teleprompter that?
So if you're listening to us and you haven't, and you're not paying attention to what happened with the UN today with President Donald Trump, when him and the First Lady Melania got to the UN and they were about to go onto the escalator stopped, and he could have got hurt. They could have got hurt. They could have fallen. They could have got, it could have been a real disaster. It stopped. Then when he got up to the prompter to speak, the prompter somehow wasn't working.
But did you see that with like, when was it? Because to mark Trump's arrival, UN staffers have joked that they might turn off the escalators and elevators and simply tell him they ran out of money, so he has to walk up the stairs.
Right. So now they're potentially investigating this as if this was done on purpose. And now if this was done on purpose, this is kind of messed up.
Well, I think they even showed video, but I think that was that actually played into, what struck me, right? So a few things, what I liked about the speech. A lot of times, and a lot of people that you discuss the UN with, and a lot of the time, the people that are typically, upset about speeches that are given like this, or viewpoints that talk about the ineffectiveness of the UN, they confuse the map with the terrain. The charter for the UN, what it was put together to do, was a very noble, it's great undertaking. How that actually plays out, is quite a different thing, right? I mean, I think, it's a joke. Like when you look at, who's like how the UN talks about different issues, what they're, he pointed out some of the stuff that they're supporting in terms of the illegal immigration envoys that came to the U.S. I mean, the UN is a very corrupt and I would say a very corrupt and body that doesn't really live up to the intentions of its charter. Fulfill the potential of its charter.
Yeah,
so I think
he gave a really good quote when he started the speech, and I ended 7 wars and never even received a phone call from the UN. These are 2 things I got from the UN: a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
Yeah, I mean, look, and New York gets a great boon to business, right? I mean, because all these people come to New York, they go to the restaurants, they don't pay parking tickets. That's a big thing, right? They get they don't pay their parking tickets, but they do show up to restaurants, so it's a nice hit to the top line for all these restaurants, which is and for the whole F&B industry, for which is a good thing for the city. But the reality is, in it's a lot of bullshit there. And I think, what I liked is that he put that in Technicolor.
Of course.
Across his speech.
Of course.
Can
I read another quote?
Go for it. Yeah, please.
Right. He was talking about Obama. Obama stated that climate change was a serious threat, and then he got on his plane and flew to Hawaii to play a round of golf, and then flew back to D.C. Climate change is the biggest scam and hoax.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with him. I think climate change is the biggest con that's been perpetrated. irrespective of whatever they think is happening to the. You're not hearing about climate change now because of the data centers, right? Google last year emitted more CO2 just on the AI division of its business than Italy did on its entire power output as a country. So the amount of power that they need to generate for the AI thing, for the data centers and everything, that's why climate change is kind of off the grid, and that's why Greta Thunberg's been reassigned to the barge to get to Gaza,
Right.
because
So she went to Gaza, but did you listen to any of the other UN speeches that were going on or tidbits?
no.
So the whole UN speech that everybody gave, I want to say at least the ones that I listened to from yesterday to today was about Gaza.
Yeah.
So basically the UN this week, everything they spoke about was Palestine. Palestine needs a state and Israel's bad and we got to stop the war in Israel. Not one mention of the hostages, not one mention of releasing the hostages, not one message. Well, the president of Turkey did say Hamas is not a terrorist organization, but I think he called them. And don't quote me because I'm not sure if he said this exact thing, but I think he said they're freedom fighters.
Hmm.
I think that's what he said, or on those lines. He didn't. He said they're not terrorists. That for a fact I know. So I don't know if you go into another country and if you kill a couple thousand people and you take a couple hostages and you're not terrorists, what are you?
I look. I mean, the UN, what, on the Human Rights Council? I mean, who they've had on that council is a joke. And where they pick and choose, what human right issues they pick and choose to apply what standard. It's there's hypocrisy and corruption all across that body. I think you know the all these states, all these nations that came out and chose this week to come out for the state of Palestine. I mean, you're saying that you're dealing with Hamas because that's who's running Palestine. The Palestinian people right now. That's in charge. So Trump said that's who you're rewarding. I don't. Nobody. I would think that if you asked the average kid on the street in New York, I don't think they would even know about hostages being. I don't think that they would even know about the events of October 7th. I think, and we knew this on October 8th. Israel had a very tight window to do anything, and they lost. The PR war against them. They lost that within 24 hours. People were talking about whether or not they were exaggerating claims of the baby. I mean, even despite what we saw on TV, it just got, they were never, that was predictable right away. So Israel's the bad guy internationally. I think Trump made a pretty clear statement today in his speech. But look, I think you have, you have all these countries. Forget about whoever thinks is right or wrong, but you have all these countries where they've, like France, England, they've had a major inflow of Islamic people, for the last bunch of years, and that's just their constituency now. So these people are afraid of what's going to happen in their own backyard, so they're making a bet. But
They are afraid, and he came out and told them, like, you're losing your countries. You're losing your countries. And
Well,
if
they
you
have.
look what's going on, they have. UK's gone, Paris is gone, Germany's gone.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's happening all across Europe.
Meloni actually, I don't know if you saw, Meloni stood up and she says, we're not recognizing Palestine as a state. And then she had a bunch of riots and protests there the other day.
Yeah.
So I give kudos. I give kudos to her.
Yeah,
You don't need to come out and recognize Palestine as a state. Like, it's this whole thing is like, oh yeah, where are they going to go? Where are they
Well,
going? You don't.
the
You want to
timing
give
of it.
you want to give Gaza the Palestinian. You want to give Palestine's Gaza? Okay, but what? How are you gonna make it a state? What are you gonna do?
Well-
are all these countries giving them money?
Well, yeah, they've been getting money from everybody.
No, I'm
Hamas
saying, are
uses
they-
it to build tunnels. That's the problem.
Right, they're building tunnels, but what's their solution to ending this war? Are they getting the hostages back?
They don't give solutions. Nobody that
No.
knocks, and look, you have them all over the place. Nobody that knocks anything offers any solutions.
No,
they
but
just
the
say,
one thing is that I know Trump was meeting with several of the Middle Eastern countries after his speech. They're probably going on right now. I did hear when he was talking with French President Macron, and after they were talking, he goes, "Oh yeah, we got to go talk to Qatar." And then yesterday, I don't know if you saw the whole thing with Macron was driving down on the Upper East Side, and they closed off the streets for Trump. Did you see this?
yeah, I saw that. Look, I was actually I went downtown. It was pretty amazing. I've never seen the entire East River. You had blue lights everywhere, shut down. I mean, the entire FDR was shut down because he lands down there by Governor Ferry Station, and they've been doing test runs there with like those helicopters that have, those two.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, the whole FDR was shut down. And I
Yeah,
saw Macron walking around.
Yeah, so Macron gets stopped and he can't go anywhere. His car stops, so he gets out and he's thinking, "Oh, I'm the president of France. I'm going to go up to this police officer and he's going to let me through." The police officer says, "I can't let you through. The president's coming through. We got to close everything." "But I'm the president of France." He goes, "Yeah, you're the president of France, but this is not France. You're not getting through." So Macron thinks he's slick, so he picks up the phone. And good for him, he calls Trump, President Trump, right on the phone.
Yeah.
And Trump picks up all the calls, and he picks up the call, and Macron goes, "Hey, I'm stuck." And Trump says, "Well, walk." I can't get through. Well, walk. There's nothing you could. You can't drive by through. The streets are closed. Walk.
Right.
And then he says, "Oh, don't forget about that meeting we have with Qatar."
Oh, I didn't see the end of that.
He threw it in there. And then he's walking around the streets of New York, and people are coming up to him and taking pictures, which is, the guy didn't have that much security on him.
Yeah, it's pretty weird, right? Like in France, he got smacked by somebody online, like right? I mean, not including his wife or whoever, but he got smacked by some guy in the crowd.
Yeah, but totally bizarre.
And he did look like a light detail. I mean, look, it's a you have a situation there where there's a lot of dishonesty and people are not aligned. And Israel's in a tough spot.
Next topic we have is your friend. I know you love her.
Who's my friend?
Former Vice President Kamala Harris.
Kamala's back.
And she's got a book. And I gotta admit, it takes a lot to write a memoir this fast.
Well, I think she got paid for it?
She got paid a lot of money. I don't know how much she got paid, but she got a lot of money.
I think she got like $12 million or something.
And she wrote it pretty fast. I mean, obviously she didn't write it herself. She wrote it with somebody else, but this is pretty fast for a book let's see.
Did you
she
see the
probably
outtake?
started in December. Probably 6 months it took her to write it. 5 months.
Did you see the outtake of her and Mado talking about Buttigieg?
Right. So let's get into it. The book's title is 107 Days, and that's the
title of the book.
That's the title of the book, and that's the amount of time that she had to run for president.
Oh, so I get it. So they're saying like, I didn't have enough time.
Well, she's saying a lot of things. She's saying she didn't have enough time. She's saying that she didn't have the right picks. You want to speak about Mayor Pete and that
the Mayor Pete thing was funny because just that little excerpt that I saw, you had Rachel Maddow that said to her like,
you call her Maddow, I call her Maddow.
Okay, Maddow.
No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it's Maddow.
Is it Maddow or Maddow?
I think it's Maddow. She's not. I think it's Maddow. Rachel
Okay,
Maddow?
I think it's Howard Stern. I haven't seen the two of them in the same room ever, but okay. So Rachel Maddow says to her, because I think it says in the book that she didn't choose Mayor Pete because he's gay. So Rachel said to her, this was kind of hard to read. You didn't choose Mayor Pete because he's gay. And she said, now hold on a minute. That's not what it said. And she basically said, I had 107 days and I'm a black and Asian person, an Indian person, and I only had 107 days, and I thought it was a big risk to take a gay guy. So she said, I didn't say that, but then said, yes, that's exactly what I said. So I thought that was funny. It was, I forgot her word salad.
She's been on the news circuit. She was on The View. She was on Maddow. She was all over the place. Interesting thing is she kind of endorsed Zohran Mandami as the mayor for New York.
Did she?
She says she has to support him because he is the Democrat frontrunner,
That's good.
but he's a communist.
There is no Democratic Party anymore.
No, but why didn't she support Andrew Cuomo? He's a Democrat. They work together.
Well, he's running as an independent.
I understand that, but he's still a Democrat.
Yeah, but right. So the whole thing that's going on here is all of these people. There is no more Democratic Party. They are taking orders, and they really have made a bet that it's the Democratic Socialists of America and all those types of parties. The young kids that they activated 5 years ago to go burn down all the cities. That's where they think the honey is. That's why Obama and Clinton and that's why Warren and everybody's moving to this Putz Zohran.
She also claims that this 2024 election against President Donald Trump was the closest presidential race in the 21st century.
Yeah.
She lost the Electoral College 312 to 226. She lost the popular vote by 2 million. How was it close?
There's a lot of crazy data points, right? She didn't change. First of all, he won every single battleground state. The bigger data point is he made gains in every single county, I think. There was not one county anywhere across the United States where she made gain against Biden's performance in 2020. The reality is she got whooped in the tally. Her 107 days, her presidency, her campaign was probably one of the bigger kind of, I think her quote was that, I know we're going to talk about it, but I think her quote was like what Jimmy Kimmel's suspension or something was the biggest attack on our democracy since Pearl Harbor or something. Somebody made the reality is her actual candidacy is one of the bigger workarounds around our Constitution and our democracy that's happened in a long time. I mean, they literally just chose her and pretended that she was some kind of popular. The woman never broke double digits in any race that she ever ran. And when she first came on the scene, she ran as the first Indian. She had nothing to do with the African American. It wasn't that she was black; she was a Indian. But she's an asshole. She's a total creation of the the central government, and who knows? I can't imagine that they'll put her back in, but I guess.
I mean, this book, she basically comes out with this book, and everything that I'm reading about that she's talking about in the excerpts she's finger pointing on why she lost. She lost because she sucked. She lost because she couldn't find a way to the people. Just like her campaign, she was finger pointing. She's finger pointing now.
She's a moron, and she's never been popular. She was, the night before they told us that, the night before that they said she's it. and that she's like the most popular thing since I don't know, Obama. They were telling us that she was the most unpopular vice president in the history of the office, and they told us that Joe Biden was juggling knives in the Oval Office and was fit as a fiddle. So I mean, they're full of shit, and she's full of shit.
And
Mayor
you
Pete's full
you
of
gotta
shit.
imagine that Pete Buttigieg has to be pissed off about this.
How? Well, I mean, Pete Buttigieg is another moron. He's another creation. He ran like a town of like 400 people, and they tried pitching him as some kind of option. I mean, the guy, and he was on sabbatical he was on like paternity leave for 2 years or whatever.
I mean,
it
he didn't
was.
do anything, but still, oh, you didn't pick me because I'm gay?
Well, it's funny because Rachel Maddow was like, "You said that you didn't pick him because he's gay," and then she's like, "That's not what I said," and then she goes, "But I didn't pick him because he's gay."
Yeah, it's I just don't get these people. Like, you lost, okay, but to write a book and finger point 107 days. Did she talk about how much money that she spent on the campaign and they couldn't account for
Yeah, and I
where the
think
money
that
went?
we spoke. I think all those numbers were lies. I think they don't need any money on the left.
It's
But
insane.
who knows?
It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. I mean, it's insane that's such a low talent, proven unpopular person is being
And
foisted upon us.
the other thing is she's out there and she's still attacking President Donald Trump.
Well, the thing is, look, it's the same thing with Newsom, Cuomo. There is a small group of people because she is not popular. They have not demonstrated once when she ran for presidency. She never breached double digits. She got, she was out after Iowa, and she never breached double. She's never been popular. She polled historically low. I mean, Nancy Pelosi and everybody admitted this. Her own party was talking about replacing her. That was like a theme, right? Just like Newsom. Like, nobody likes Newsom. Nobody likes Cuomo. But yet, these are the people. It's like NFL coaches. They just keep on the merry-go-round. They're like, this is who you're going to have to choose from. And so I think it's insane that why don't they choose somebody else and just create the same lie? She's actually been proven to be so unpopular.
Right. But they don't have anybody.
They don't. But
they don't have anybody that's popular.
They're going with people like Newsom is super unpopular. You speak to the biggest liberals in California, they hate him. They don't like him. But now he's apparently a hero because a very small group of people, that have the power to choose, are saying this guy's it. So you'll deal with Cuomo, Newsom, Kamala, who else? I guess Mayor.
Bless you.
Pardon me. I guess Mayor. Thank you. I guess Mayor Pete will be in the running, and he'll have some good meatballs to throw at Kamala when he tells her that you didn't pick me because I was gay.
So you think she's going to run again?
I mean, look. First of all, the exercise of running, if it's up to her, the exercise of running, you get money, you get relevance, you get importance, you get to push another book. They'll pay you a few $1 million where you get to steal all kinds of money, run around, cut deals. Her husband, first, whatever that guy's name is, will chase around. Emhoff, yeah, that guy. I mean, there's money in it. She's in the business of politics, so that's what you do. And they're forcing her upon us. I mean, like, I don't know what how many people do you think sat down and watched Kamala Harris talk to Rachel Maddow? Can you imagine having?
I think somebody put something up there like the amount of views that Rachel Maddow got are less than these likes of this photo I'm going to post, and the person got more likes.
I think that was about Kimmel.
Oh, was that about Kimmel?
Something similar, because Kimmel has zero.
I saw that one, the hot dog, and then I saw this. I saw similar.
Yeah, okay. So somebody else.
I guess since you brought up Jimmy Kimmel,
but it's similar because MSNBC has no ratings.
They have no ratings. Yeah. Jimmy Kimmel, you brought up Jimmy Kimmel. Let's go into our next topic. The talk of the weekend was Jimmy Kimmel being canceled because he made comments about Charlie Kirk
Hmm.
and Charlie Kirk's assassin being MAGA. So I don't really want to talk about what Jimmy Kimmel said necessarily because what he said was wrong. I kind of want to talk about, do you think that it was justified for ABC, or actually it wasn't even ABC, it was Sinclair and Nexstar that asked to basically remove him. But do you think that it was a good decision by them to have him removed?
Well, just to be clear, it's actually important the contents of what he said, the substance of what he said, because public airwaves, which ABC is, it's not cable. There are regulations, laws determining you can't just run a political. You can't just get up on public airwaves and use that time to spread whatever you want. There are laws and rules about that. B, you can't, despite what they just are, which is one continuous political commercial for anything opposing Trump in the United States. That's in and of itself not supposed. Public airwaves are you're not like, that's what you're not supposed to have. There's something called equal time. You're not supposed to be able to just use the airwaves, public airwaves, which ABC is, to just throw whatever you want around.
But that's more for political interviews and that's not
No,
really
no. That's for
what he
any.
said.
It is for what he said. It's public airwaves. He's on public airwaves, and he functions as one continuous commercial for the Democratic Party. You can't, like, it's not. That's not what that's supposed to be. And there actually are rules that apply to that. But so that's one part of the bucket. Now the question you asked me was, do I think it was right that he got canceled? I think, he by everything that we've seen, I don't think the guy has any ratings. I know I don't tune into any of these shows. I used to love even like Conan, Leno, Letterman, who, Carson obviously was. It used to be like a funny thing. They poked fun of everybody. With Trump, these people, they destroyed all comedy. NBC, decided that they would use their comedy, under the header of comedy, they would just, try to attack Trump. So do I think it was right that he got canceled? I think, he chose, the timing that he chose to make the kind of remarks that he chose, we're going to be polarizing. Okay. He was giddy. I think the guy, like, if you watched what he got up there and said, he was so excited to get out there and say that, this is a MAGA guy. And that giddiness is off-putting, obviously, right? Because obviously he was so much more focused. It's just the timing of what he did was polarizing. So, okay, if you're in the business, like if you're Iger, who's a lunatic also, so who knows? I don't know why he's kept him on. The guy's a low-rating guy. But if your big distributors are like, well, I don't want people to turn us off or cut their service for this. I mean, it's a business decision. It's not, I don't think that it applied to, I don't think it's a real, realistic thing that this wasn't. I don't see that this was a real 1A issue to me.
So you don't think it's a First Amendment issue that he got taken off?
No, he got taken. I mean, and look, so there's a few things, because across this whole thing with Charlie, with the Charlie Kirk fallout, there's been a lot of they've said people are losing their jobs for voicing any kind of happiness about the guy getting. I mean, the reality is, like, if I'm a private employer and I've got a guy that's running around excited about the type of thing that we saw with Charlie Kirk, and he's like voicing that opinion, forget about if I'm on the airwaves, which I rely on that slot. The tricky thing about the Oprah slot and the Carson slot, you want people that are going to, typically they were trying to appeal to the broadest audience possible, right? Carson, said they asked Carson, why don't you ever talk politics? He's like, I don't think people want that from me. I'm here to, appeal to to everybody. But they've made a very polarizing thing about that. But I think in terms of I think the idea that people can't say anything, people can say whatever they like, but in a private company setting, I also think that I think it's objectively, like, if you're running around saying this is awesome that this happened, shit, like I would think differently about my employee. He better be giving me a lot of value in terms of profit for me to not think about getting this guy as far away from my association with my company. And in the case of Kimmel, he looks to have been doing zero profit for Disney because his ratings looked like so low. So, I think I don't but look, they're taking him back with
So here's my thought on the whole thing. Number one, his ratings have been sinking terribly. And we found out with the whole Stephen Colbert thing is that late night talk shows have been losing money. Why? Because they're paying, they have a staff that's grossly inflated. They have joke writers that are writing terrible jokes. People used to go to late night to escape the day-to-day, to escape life, to listen to some jokes, listen to some interviews, lighthearted stuff. And somewhere along the way, these people who've come out, and it's the last couple guys. It's Colbert, it's Jimmy Kimmel, it's Fallon, it's the other guy,
it's Saturday Night
Seth
Live.
Myers. Seth Myers, yeah. Saturday Night
Seth
Live.
Myers is the one that got it started.
Yeah, they're coming out and they're becoming more political and they're talking about this, but they're always one-sided. And now, okay, you could make jokes there. I think Jay Leno used to joke about both sides. That's fine, but once you start alienating 50% of the country, your ratings are going to go down. That's the bottom line. Your ratings are going to go down. You're going to lose money. And ABC, unfortunately, they're in a tough place because you have all these streamers and people are tuning in less and less and less to these shows. Like you said, it's not a cable network, and people are cutting cords. So you have less people watching.
Disney sucks, man.
And
you have kids.
Fallon and Kimmel have not been funny. They have not been funny at all. I don't even remember when Kimmel was funny.
Kimmel's an asshole. And Disney's disgusting. I've watched some of these reduxes of like 101 Dalmatians. They managed to put a trans in there. For what purpose?
Right, so they're alienating people,
Cinderella.
which I don't understand. But this might have been a blessing for them because, hey, Kimmel, they needed a reason to get rid of Kimmel.
Well, he's back.
And he's back, but he's not back because Sinclair and Nexstar, the people who own the rights to all the different areas of the United States, how it works is
distribution.
Distribution. ABC produces the show and then they distribute it. And these other places are like, look, we're not putting him on no matter what. And then we're not paying it. They're going to put on some other rerun or news or whatever it is, and they're not going to show him. So his rating is going to be terrible anyway, and they're going to have to make a decision what to do with him.
That's the thing. So theoretically, Sinclair and these other guys have made the decision that we stand to lose more than gain if we air this putz. Okay, so they're not going to. For whatever reason, ABC is sticking by this guy who's who's a loss leader for them.
Right. So the left and a lot of people I've talked to, they're like, okay, First Amendment, he's allowed to say whatever he wants. And I know you brought up that he's not. And they're saying, oh, they took him off because they're appeasing Trump and they don't, Trump said take him down. Now, do you remember, I know because our game, Citizen Outbreak, you could buy it at citizenoutbreak.com. We were censored. We were shadow banned.
Well, we were censored.
And I know that Kimmel, Jimmy, was celebrating when Roseanne Barr was taken off the air.
And Roseanne Barr was the highest rated show on television when they kicked her off.
they kicked, and he was celebrating Tucker Carlson. Now, like him, don't like Tucker.
They were celebrating.
They were
when
celebrating
all
him.
of when every single media platform deplatformed the president of the United States.
The president of the United States, Tim Allen, Tool Time Tim, was taken
Full-time
off.
Tim.
So they were
just
doing
had,
it.
By the way,
But
they
now
just had.
now he's getting taken off. So now it's a problem.
Yeah, and they just also had YouTube come out and shocker! Like they actually admitted that they were censoring a lot
we're gonna
because
get into that
Biden's told them to.
Right. We're going to get into that in 1 second. Last thing I just want to say
Yeah.
before we get into the YouTube thing is, you know what's ironic, Matthew?
Tell me.
Charlie Kirk was censored. He was taken off of X, Twitter. At the time, it was Twitter. He was taken off Twitter.
Was he?
He was taken off Fox.
I think
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Look, there's all kinds of examples of the outrage here is a lot of hypocrisy, and I think the reality is what ABC has said is that they took him off because what it looks like is it was a business decision because they think that their distributors weren't going to play Kimmel, and they were right. Because the distributors aren't, but for some reason they're saying we don't care. We still want to pay this guy $50 million a year.
Just real quick, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I just think it's funny. My friend from California, Mark, I lost a bet to him about Luka Doncic re-signing with the Lakers.
Why, he did or didn't?
No, he did. And I said he was never going to do it. And I thought he was going to go somewhere else. Anyway, I lost the bet to him. And I said, you could buy a tequila, whatever the tequila is. And he was texting me while we were doing this. And I wasn't responding. And I was like, a bet's a bet. Get the tequila. He said, it's expensive. I said, how much is it? He says, $300. I said, a bet's a bet. I'll pay the $300 because it's a bet. I'm an honorable guy. He just Venmo'd me $300.
Why, he thinks you won?
I have no idea. Hold on a second. Oh, he just wrote, I accidentally paid you $300 on Venmo.
Oh, he was requesting, not sending. Which tequila is it? I
don't know. I'll find out. Anyway, I'll deal with that after. But the YouTube, back to YouTube censoring. So it came out today that YouTube admitted to censoring and banning channels for wrong COVID and political content. Senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach to Alphabet, who owns Google and YouTube, and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to the COVID-19 citizen outbreak pandemic that did not violate its policies. The administration created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. Now, Matthew, that's YouTube and Alphabet coming out and saying it, right?
Yeah, and you had Facebook say it.
We saw when Elon took over Twitter, we saw the Twitter files that they were doing it. And we saw Zuckerberg talking with Rogan and saying that he got hit up too.
Yeah, no, Zuckerberg printed a letter saying that the Biden administration, and that the FBI, when it was in 2020 in the campaign, the FBI went and saw him and told him not to run stuff about Hunter.
Correct.
I mean, look, so the outrage is bullshit, right? I think, and part of the outrage also, right? Like from the Bill Maher's, from the Conan O'Brien's, like, the reality is, like, if you say something, and although I don't think Iger gives a shit, I think Iger's happy to pay. I think Iger's like a really political fanatic also. Otherwise, I can't explain why he's shoving trans into Cinderella and supporting Kimmel. Like, but the reality is, like, why are these guys guaranteed their spot? It's supposed to be like a ratings game. The Late Night Wars was like a fun book, and they made a HBO a movie about it because back then Leno versus Letterman was a big deal in terms of the ratings. So these places don't give a shit about ratings, and apparently they're supposed to they're guaranteed their contracts.
and they're hefty contracts, and
What do you mean
they don't
hefty? They're making $50 million a year.
right, and they shouldn't be.
Well, apparently no, because apparently these spots are reserved for these specific people that just get their money. I mean, Iger's obviously a fanatic, or he's somebody's telling him you have to keep these people in. I don't. There's no. I can't. The private market angle doesn't seem to support it. The guy had 100,000 viewers, but now like Disney's worried about the impact on their amusement park offerings. I don't buy that.
No, and then they have these bearded women walking around pretending they're princesses talking to the kids. I don't want my daughter looking at a bearded man playing Cinderella.
Look, I watched 101 Dalmatians, the Redux or whatever, with the Emma Stone girl, and like I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, and I loved the original. Have you seen the original? You remember the story of 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. I loved it. And then I'm watching it with my niece and nephew, and all of a sudden they've got like one of the goons is this trans. Like there was never a trans back in the day, so it's a Disney is like a conditioning, grooming, extremist outfit. It's terrible.
It's not good, but the whole point of this is it came out today that they were censoring, and so you can't, the other side can't be like, okay, well, Jimmy Kimmel, okay, and we censored these people. No, you did it, and you can't say that they're doing it. You're both doing it. So stop doing it.
Well, I
but
don't
Jimmy
know
Kimmel's
that
ratings suck. So that's the bottom line.
Know that they're
Roseanne's
both doing
ratings didn't suck. Tim Allen's ratings didn't suck. And we know about everybody else that they banned for political reasons. Jimmy Kimmel, not only does he suck, but his ratings suck.
Well, look, I mean, it's okay. So look, it's. I don't like the idea of Trump trying to shut down speech, right? So the way they talk about it sometimes is I don't like the way he talks about it. But in this case, like it does, it doesn't. It to me, it's not the same when you have the way this actually went down. What we saw, this wasn't an example of his 1A, because he could go to Netflix. He could go. I'm sure he'll end up going, and like Colbert for some reason is going to get $12 million.
No, that was bullshit.
Oh, Netflix didn't hire him?
No, that was bullshit. That came out that was a rumor. That was bullshit.
Well, I'm sure he'll come back in some form. Just like
my opinion is I don't think that I don't think he should have been canceled or taken off for saying that. I think let him say it and let him be the disease that he is and the scumbag that he is.
Right, but my point is if he's taken off because Iger gets a phone call from all of his distributors that say we're not airing this guy. We're afraid that we're going to lose viewers, lose money. We're not airing him. If it's a business decision, that's a business decision. Okay. And I'm fine. Right. If it is Trump calling up and saying, you have to take this guy off air or otherwise we're going to hit you in other ways. I don't like that.
I don't like that either. Obviously. And then the head of the
I don't think FCC that's what happened.
Came out and said, yeah, we're taking them off. And if anybody else says anything else, we're going to take them off. We're going to look at the view. I don't think that's the way it should be. I think you suck and let the ratings speak for themselves. The other thing is, to play devil's advocate here, what he said it could incite, hate towards the other party.
That's fine. I don't care about that.
Well, no, because you shouldn't be talking about one group that's not true, obviously, and he's been doing it for a while now, and he's inciting hate. And
yeah, but
look what happened. All these people keep talking, and then we lost Charlie Kirk.
Right, but what I'm saying is, so it goes back to the substance and where he's saying it. The public airwaves, there's rules. You cannot if you have to give access. That's why, like CBS, like none of these public airwaves, they don't have the right to just run continuous political ads for one party. Like they're regulated. You can look that up. There are regulations and rules against that. And it's hard to argue that any of these networks have been functioning as anything but that. Okay? They all
Absolutely.
okay. So one, I don't like that's bullshit. Okay. Two, we know that from that while they're doing that, they're also literally shutting down and getting rid of any other speech. He wants to go somewhere where it's not public airwaves and spread lies about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't care. Like I don't think like the best argument should win, right? And but the reality is, like, to me, him having using his platform as just a public airwaves position to just attack one side and spread things that have been disproven. That's irresponsible on the part of ABC, right? And there's a reason why you have libel laws, because you can't just go out and say whatever you want about people.
No.
I mean, so what was it, CBS or ABC or all of them that had to pay Trump because they were doing that? So I mean, there's free speech. I don't want any encroachment on free speech, but I also there are rules to accommodate this. So if he just wants to go out there and spread lies or strictly, I'm all good with division. I think he's a moron, and I think thankfully he's got a small audience, and nobody really gives a shit about what Jimmy Kimmel has to say in the big picture. I'm all good with him going out there and saying the most divisive things. I'm fine. I think the word divisive is another, bullshit word they've thrown into the lexicon now to try and force groupthink, because we're supposed to. I don't want to hang out with Jimmy Kimmel. I don't want to unite with him. I don't want to look at things the same way as him or Bob Iger, who wants to shove trans in every nursery. But they're okay. Elections come around, let them vote for the guy that's going to promise a lot of sex ed to 2-year-olds, and I'll vote the other way, and hopefully I win. And if we don't, we live in a country where I'm protected to spit my rights views, and they are too. So I'm not looking for you to unite with them. And America wasn't founded on the principle of uniting me with them. It was founded on the principle of protecting both of our rights to say what we want.
Right. Next topic. Let's
Like
go into
Wilpon,
something.
Wilpon, Fred Wilpon.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Sorry, but pardon the interruption. That asshole came out. The guy that stepped down, the coach, he's like, I'm happy he's leaving. He's divisive. Divisive. If anybody that issues an opinion is divisive.
Which coach?
If you, the one that was, I think he was the one that was pro-Israel.
What does Wilpon have to do with any coaches anymore?
Pardon the interruption. Sports.
Oh, I thought you said. I thought you meant the former Mets owner.
No, not Fred.
Wilbon.
Not Fred.
Wilbon.
Wilbon. Sorry,
Yeah,
Wilbon.
yeah. I saw that. The whole thing is this, Matthew. I think we're at a place where politics need to stay out of certain arenas. Now, I watch sports. I watch WWE wrestling. I watch some movies, and I want to get away from politics. And we talk about politics, and politics have been shoved down our throat for the last couple of years like no other because of social media. And the last thing I want to do is turn on ESPN or Jimmy Kimmel or any of these and have them force feed me their opinions on politics. I didn't tune in to watch ESPN talk about politics. Now, Stephen A. has been going into politics, but he's got another show that he does like a podcast, and he does that. That's okay. But when you're on ESPN or Fox Sports or something, enough is enough. Stop throwing politics down our throats.
Wilbon, I don't know if Wilbon complained about Steve Kerr or Greg Popovich as being divisive.
Exactly, they didn't.
Those two idiots.
Those two idiots need to relax too. Speaking of sports, Matthew, on to our next topic.
Good.
Something a little lighter.
Good. Let's go light.
Former quarterback, NFL quarterback Tom Brady,
yes,
has an offer that I believe he accepted to play flag football. You know where?
In Saudi
Arabia. He's getting how much do you think?
Well, I think I saw 25 million, but I think I saw that he denied it.
75 million.
75 for one game?
75 million
for one
flag
game?
football. I believe it's one game.
Amazing. They should go after the NBA. Is what they should do.
But they are going after the NBA. The Saudis, they're creating their own league. You didn't hear about it?
I didn't see it yet.
Yeah, they're creating their own league, and actually they partnered up with LeBron's guy, the one
Maverick?
who's Maverick Carter. Yeah,
So the NBA is vulnerable.
very
They'll be
yeah, because the whole league sucks now.
They'll be if they just get a few stars to go over there, run the live model, and basically just implement the rules from the 90s. You'll it would destroy the NBA.
Are you paying Tom Brady $75 million to play flag football?
I mean, they're doing that with everybody. Money doesn't mean anything.
But do you think that they're going to get people to watch it? I know that Saudis, they don't give a shit about money, but do you?
I think
people will tune in to watch him.
I think
play.
people will tune in.
And then who's he playing? Who's he playing flag football with? With Saudis?
I have no idea.
Or is it going to be like the
in
time?
for that?
Is it going to be the time when Kim Jong-un invited Dennis Rodman to pick up some guys, and they all flew out to North Korea to play basketball?
Yeah, I look. I saw this morning as I saw some of it because Portnoy was talking about it. I don't know all the details, but look, $75 million. Go for it, man.
I think he has to take the money.
I like that better than him sitting there trashing the mother of his kids on TV. So
another
I didn't like that look.
Another lighthearted topic, and we talked about escaping, right? Do you remember growing up the Randy Macho Man Savage? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember him?
Of course.
The
Love
WWF, now WWE wrestler who tragically passed away when he had a heart attack and hit a tree in his car. Headline reports that Saturday Night Live legend Kenan Thompson and Johnny Ryan Jr.'s production company, Artists for Artists, is developing a feature film about the larger-than-life pro wrestling icon. The biopic, fittingly titled Macho, is based based on a completely script by Savage's brother, the late Lonnie Poffo, and Eric Shapiro. Savage, born Randy Poffo, did you know he was a baseball player?
Yeah,
passed away in 2011 at just 58 years old. The second-generation wrestler and former minor league baseball player, he rose to stardom in the 1980s through unforgettable runs in ICW, WWE, and WCW. The Macho Man. Are you going to be tuning in to watch this? I 100%
absolutely.
will.
I'm a big Macho Man fan.
Now, supposedly, this is going to be more about his earlier days, rising up. Kind of like, remember that movie, The Wrestler, with
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, right. So that's the thing. I think that's the vibe that
I've seen some content about his rising up. He was a baseball player and made the switch.
Some early, and he was great. He was great. I mean, he was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The Macho Man.
Oh yeah. Ooh, Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. Okay. Now let's go on to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and President Donald Trump. I believe it was yesterday, Monday. They came out with Tylenol. Tylenol is bad for you when you are pregnant as a woman or as a man, I don't know. But they're saying that Tylenol has been linked to autism. Okay.
Right.
Now, when President Trump was discussing it, I did listen. I don't know if you listened to the whole thing. I listened to the whole thing. He suggested that women do not take this Tylenol drug while they're pregnant. Now, I don't know if you know, but when women are pregnant and they have pain, doctors suggest that they take Tylenol. There's nothing really that they could take for pain besides Tylenol, because Advil is also bad. But you don't hear people coming out saying, "Oh, you can't say that about Advil." Well, but Advil doesn't it's not good for the baby.
Isn't there something called Midol?
But he did come out and say Tylenol there's a link. Okay. And now you have all the Democrats and all the liberals coming out and saying, Trump can't tell me what to do with my body, and I could take Tylenol if I want to take Tylenol, and there is no link between the two and autism, and it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. who's a kook. What's that?
There's a protest.
There's protests.
Pregnant. There's like a viral thing of pregnant women popping Tylenol in defiance of Trump.
Right. There's pregnant liberal women
Take
taking
that, Trump.
Tylenol in defiance of Trump.
TDS is not real, though. You know, Harvard did those studies. I mean, I spent some time. I only read about this a little bit, but
Yes,
apparently
I have it
Harvard.
right here. Do you want me to read
Okay,
it?
sorry.
Or do you want to talk
go.
about it? You want me to read it?
No. Go.
Harvard sounded the alarm on Tylenol a while ago. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health published a systematic review of 46 prior studies using navigation guide methodology, finding that many show a positive association between prenatal acetaminophen use, Tylenol, and neurodevelopment disorders, NDDS, including autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and ADHD. So we know how Harvard feels about Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So they came out with the study. There's a lot of studies that came out.
Yeah, there are a lot of studies that came out, and look, lived through this with. I mean, they were showing some stuff. You remember Jim Carrey and Jenny McCarthy, Bobby De Niro, like before Trump came on the scene. These people, it was cool to question the vaccine protocols in the United States. That like your kid gets born, you got to give them like 100 shots. It was cool before Trump came, before COVID came, to question that. Harvard did a study. We lived through it. They created something during COVID called the asymptomatic spread, and they managed to get people to lock down with that bullshit. So people, they have breached critical mass. There's a large enough section of society that'll literally do whatever you tell them to do. And if Trump says something, they will do the opposite. So I mean, when you're talking about everything that's going on, the past few weeks, that's what it is. I mean, you have dummies none of it matters because Trump said it. So it's obviously they're now talking about it's too idiotic. Let them all take Tylenol. I don't give a shit.
Mount Sinai came out a long time ago. Mount Sinai study supports evidence that prenatal acetaminophen, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, use may be linked to increased risk of autism and ADHD. The Public Med National Library of Medicine said the same thing. I don't know if this is another medical thing. They said it. ResearchGate said it. Health.com said it. Politics.com. Pediatrics AAP Publications said it. Health News said it. I mean, there's a bunch of publications over here that came out.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter because
where's
Trump
Fauci?
said it. So if Trump said it, then it has to be bad. But Trump didn't come out and say, "Don't take it." He said, "My suggestion to you is don't take it." He also said the MMR vaccine, the measles, mumps, rubella, I think that's how you say it, vaccine also has cause. Now, I know when I had kids, we spaced that out. Now, people ask me, I had a whole debate with somebody, are you against these vaxes? Listen, some I'm against and some I'm not. Do I think kids should get vaccines? Some of them you don't need. The baby being born doesn't need hepatitis B vaccine. That's a sexual transmitted disease when they're born. If you want, get it later. Get it later when you're a teenager. You could get that later.
Right.
The
MMR
MMR
became a
also,
religious issue.
It's a religious also. And now schools are demanding it. And then
no, I'm saying it
my
became
body,
a religion,
my choice. But the
politics
vaccine for COVID wasn't my body, my choice.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it became a cult. That's what I mean by religion. It just became, because that they activated people with, when they told us that it was 99% effective without supposedly knowing what it was. Look, it's all bullshit. Like all the rest of this stuff. It's all
Here's
bullshit.
my thing. If you're an idiot and you want your kid to if there's like the slightest 1% chance that your kid could have autism because you're taking Tylenol, and you're selfish enough to be stupid enough to say, "Oh, I don't like Donald Trump and I don't like RFK, that kook, and I'm going to take it." and you're willing to risk it, by all means, take it, risk it, and then you deal with the facts of trying to raise your kid as autistic. You find out how difficult that is. Because I have friends that have children that are autistic. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. I'm blessed that my children are healthy, knock on wood. But I see what these other families are doing, and I know if they could go back, if they could not risk that 1%, they will not do it. So you know what? Back in the day when we were growing up, maybe before we were growing up in the 50s and the 60s, there used to be ads for cigarette smoking when you were pregnant and drinking. Doctors just say, oh yeah, you could have a couple drinks. It's okay while you're pregnant, or a couple smokes. And guess what happened? Those caused cancer.
Yeah, but it's all it's all just
It's just a talking point, Matthew. It's a talking point. I don't want to do that because Donald Trump said it's bad or good. If Donald Trump came out and said tomorrow something about the sky is blue. No, the sky is red. I'm telling you, Matthew, the sky is red. Creeping up on a lot of time. Let's go to, we're not going to do this one topic. Ryan Routh, the assassin who tried to shoot Donald Trump when he was running for presidency in West Palm Beach on the golf course. Remember this guy? He was hiding in the woods.
Yeah, they never really told us that much about him, except that he spent time in Ukraine.
He spent time in Ukraine. He got a bunch of money wired.
He a drag queen?
We still don't know where he. No, there's not. I don't think. Oh, yeah, I think he was dressing kind of funny. But I don't think he has a son and a daughter. Anyway, today was the trial, and he was found guilty on all counts. And once they announced that he was guilty on all counts, Matthew, do you know what he did?
Tried to stab himself.
He tried to stab himself with a pen. And we don't know if it was a Bic or a ballpoint, but he didn't do the job.
He should have just taken some Tylenol.
He should take some Tylenol. 4 marshals tackled him and took him away. And then somebody actually, this is actually not appropriate, but somebody on I saw said that he would have actually saved us a lot of taxpayer money if he did it for himself.
I'd rather know a little bit more about what happened, but I guess
I'd like to know a little bit more what happened and where that money came from as well, and maybe we will get some information. That all that money should be traceable. I
don't think we're gonna find out anything.
No. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Remember, Citizen Outbreak, the game. Tell your friends to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it. We will be back with another episode probably in the next couple days. You guys have a great night or day. Goodbye.